Head again.
Okay, Jonah, being back in England, especially at Twickenham, must inspire good memories, especially of your thrashings in the England team.
Thrashing, I don't know about that. England's always a hard team to beat. We just happen to be the lucky few that get the opportunity to beat them on their own home ground.
Can you tell us a bit about what you're doing here at Twickenham today?
What am I doing in Twickenham today? I'm just doing the launch of my video. A lot of people have always asked about, what's your favourite memory about, scoring tries against certain teams and so forth. So we've decided to put a video out of, of all the, quite a few of the tries that I think is quite memorable to me.
At 26 years old, there's sort of not many people who can produce a kind of 1 hour biopic of their life, but you've sort of achieved more than that. Why? Just tell us a bit more about why you decided to make the video.
As I said, it's always been the most talked about subject when when I'm talking to people. It's which try do you think's most memorable and so forth. So this will sort of answer the questions, and a lot of people want to see the insight to me as well. So there's bits in there as well about what I do outside of rugby and so forth.
How hard is it now that you've become sort of a big showbiz personality, and life's kind of almost like a business now for you, isn't it?
It is quite hard, but it's also come with the territory, and it's become part of my lifestyle. So I just take it in my stride and just enjoy life.
As the video shows, you've come from kind of humble beginnings to this amazing sort of fame and fortune. Did you ever expect that it would be like that?
No, I didn't. I just wanted to be a rugby player, which I am, and it's just growing into something that a bit more than what I expected. But I wouldn't change anything either.
Looking back, what is your most outstanding or memorable achievement?
Being an All Black is my most memorable. Getting the opportunity to represent your country is always the highest honour that you can get. In any sport, if you get the opportunity to represent your country, you look at the ratio of people who get the opportunity to represent their country. There ain't many, and with the All Blacks, to us it's an exclusive club, and if you're the lucky few, out of the millions that want to be an All Black, it's an honour and a privilege to be one.
Would you say being an All Black is more than just about wearing that shirt? Because you're an ambassador for your sport. Loads of people look up to you, especially kids.
Yeah, it is. It's you're there. You're representing your country. It's basically a symbol of New Zealand. If you talk to anyone in New Zealand about anything, the first thing that'll pop into their mind is the All Blacks, and they're fanatical about it, and they know their history. They know everything about what happened in what game and so forth. So when you have that sort of legacy that you have to follow, and that's bestowed on you to carry on, and you just get a bit overwhelmed, but you've got to sort of take it in your stride, and make sure that keep that record intact.
Probably the worst time in your career was probably when you were ill and you were out of the game. Did you think that things were over then for you, or did it really inspire you to fight back and get back?
I think that was the biggest drive of wanting to come back. Seeing if I was good enough to make it back was the biggest challenge. Sure, easily could have just taken it and just not had a go at it, but I didn't want to have a look at it in 10 years time or so forth and said, I had an opportunity to have a crack at it again. But I sort of took the reverse of it, and took the bull by its horns, and decided to ride it and have a crack at it.
You had your 50th Test cap this year against Australia. How did that feel?
pretty bit bit overwhelming. Getting the opportunity to run out for 50 caps, and for the All Blacks there ain't many 50 caps. So it was just a great privilege and an honour to be part of the All Blacks, and just the support that I was given and so forth. They gave me a 6 foot card, which was signed by the people of Dunedin, where we had the test match, and it was just pages on pages, and it was just really overwhelming, and we're just a pity that we didn't produce the results that we wanted.
Do you think you can win a World Cup with the All Blacks perhaps in 2003?
Could we? I think we're hoping to, but yeah, it's just too far to say. Let alone knowing what's going to happen next year. If we're going to make the team, we've got a new coach, and depends if he wants us sitting aside as well. And depending on form in 2002, hopefully that'll carry on, and hopefully we'll be there at the World Cup to have a go at it.
Which do you enjoy playing more, international games or your Super 12s you play at home?
Oh, I enjoy both. To me, rugby's a game to be enjoyed at any level. Sure, international is is the pinnacle of any rugby player's dream. You want to be an international player, but it's in saying that as well. For a lot of players, where it starts out is to make the international side is you got to go through Super 12 in the Southern Hemisphere. So some players get the opportunity to make it, and some of them don't. And so I got to say I enjoy both, but just it's something extra when you get to represent your country at international level.
You've been described as the modern personification of All Black rugby. What would you say to that?
What would I say to that? Oh, I wouldn't know. Wouldn't know what to say. To me, I play rugby because I love it. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and it's given me a lifestyle that I never dreamt of, and so forth. But the style I play is suited to Jonah, and when you find your own style, and it suits you, you shouldn't really change.
Rugby is a very aggressive, sometimes violent sport, and you seem to be a very gentle, calm, sort of thoughtful person. Are you a different person on the rugby pitch to the person you'd say you're off it, or would you sort of describe yourself maybe as the silent, deadly type?
I'd say more the silent, deadly type, I guess. Yeah, I mind my own business. I do what I have to do, and so forth. I don't really think much about what happens on the pitch. What happens on the pitch happens on the pitch. If people have a swing at you, they have a swing at you. It's more of a mind tester. Anybody can throw a punch, but it takes a bigger person not to.
Would you say you're a different person on the pitch as you are to off the pitch?
No, I wouldn't say so. Yeah, on the pitch you have to think, you have to be on your toes, and it's basically the same. The way you apply yourself to prepare yourself to play on the pitch. You could learn a lot from it. You got to have discipline. If you don't have discipline, you could lose a test match. And you got to have your wits about you as well. A lot of people think it's just purely physical, but it isn't. It's also a mental game. You're sitting down, you're spending numerous hours in front of a computer and looking at, strategies on how to beat certain teams. Looking at weaknesses that they might have in them, or if they don't have any, you got to try and find a way to actually breach them. So, hours of work go into it, and you got to apply that onto the field. And I think that applies to life itself. If you can implement your dedication to to rugby into your own lifestyle as well, and have that sort of format, I think life would be pretty easy.
I was watching the film, and you're a big fan of music, and you've music are you into?
All sorts. I listen to a lot of soul, a lot of classics, R&B, hip hop, you name it. Some of the guys don't really agree with me playing Elvis Presley cruising down the middle of town and so forth, but hey, that's me. I'm a person who just enjoys something that has a lot of rhythm and you can dance to it, or you can just cruise while you're driving around.
Can you tell us a bit more about the car stereo?
About the car stereo, well, it's basically it's a big four-wheel drive. Used to be a seven-seater, which has now been down to a two-seater. Myself, the driver, and a passenger. And basically, I'll supply the ear muffs and the earplugs because you'll need both of them. I think a jumbo jet takes off at 148 decibels. The truck does well over 160. So it's pretty interesting.
What would be the Jonah Lomu theme tune?
Actually, to tell the truth, I wouldn't have a theme tune itself. It just depends what I wake up to in the morning. Usually I just get up and push a button, random on my stereo, and bang, a tune will come on. I either like it or I don't. And that's just me. It's virtually like a lucky dip.
And as well as your music, you're really into your cars, and you like racing a bit, kind of. Do you see yourself as a bit of a rebel without a cause?
Oh, basically, yeah, in some ways, but on a racetrack itself, when you have in New Zealand now, our laws are quite strict and so forth, a lot like here, and we just I love modifying cars and so forth, and I think when people sort of see the video itself, the car they see in it is basically, we've only changed two things on it at the time, and now I've pulled it all apart and won't even recognise it.
What are your aims for the future? Do you think one day we'll see Jonah Lomu return, Jonah Lomu Strikes Back on video?
I don't know. It's it's just something that, it's more to answer a lot of questions about when people ask me about what do I do to relax outside of rugby, what do I do, what do I think about certain tries and so forth, and I hope this video actually answers their questions.
And what would you like to see in a video of your life in, say, 10 years' time?
What would I like to see? I guess just everything I've achieved more than anything else. Being at the Commonwealth Games in '98, and hopefully, and in 10 years' time, I might look back and I might have won a World Cup, outside of the rugby sevens. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.
In the DVD and the video and so forth, it's just basically answering people's questions, which is the most common question. What's your most memorable?
Ender from Jonah, which your back team you made is the best you played?
I'd say all of them. It's too hard to try and separate teams. Different eras, the rules have changed since then as well. So, you just can't say one's better than the other.
That's fine. And Phil Hammond from England, who's the best tackler you've faced?
Phil Hammond, best tackler I've ever faced.
Just a fraction more to your right for us, Tracy. Your hair's coming in. That's the one. Good head, eh? Good.
Is that right? Yeah. This is not windy.
Yeah. Oh, at least it's not out there.
Yeah.
That was freezing out there.
It's nice though, at least it's not raining.
We're pretty well set to go then.
You don't get many days like this in the winter. It's not quite. The last few months have been quite good for that.
The last one was here. It was apparently a couple of the hottest days in summer that Jews had.
It's weird, had weird weather and changes over here the last couple of years.
Yep, when you're ready.
Alright.
Set to go.
Nothing. Alright, then.
Phones off. Everyone's got their phone.
first time any of us have played with this much. The coaches
Ready, Moss?
Yeah, ready when you're ready.
You ready, mate?
If you want to take your place at the top table, I'll introduce you.
I'm just saying a few words.
I'll have a look at the program.
And just say thank you for using the video that we have. And then we'll look at the more. And question answers for you.
So, and you'll be able to wrap that up when you start.
Is it? There's more time limit, right?
Of Sevens rugby up against New Zealand. New Zealand with Rush and Seymour. The two
Which way is it? Left or right?
magnificent try.
He made a fantastic impression at the Hong Kong Sevens, scoring wonderful tries and thrilling the huge, excitable crowd there.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very much for coming on to Twickenham this morning. Delighted to be joined by Jonah, obviously, and his manager, Phil Kingsley-Jones. The basic format for the morning will be a few words from Phil, a brief look at the programme that we're here to launch, and then we'll open up to questions from the floor for Jonah. I know a few of you have requested one-to-ones with Jonah afterwards. He's very limited time available, but we'll get in everything we can afterwards if you could come along and speak to me.
Thanks very much. First of all, thank you all for coming along. It's like top of the pops of the British sports media and rugby media, so it's a pleasure and an honour for us to invite you along and to see you turn up this morning. People ask why we've done the video with Empire Media, Mark Suster and his crowd. The last 5 years we've been approached to do videos of Jonah's tries. We never thought it was the right time to do it. Obviously now with the next World Cup coming up down in the Southern Hemisphere, it's a good time to do it. And why we did it with Mark, obviously the reputation, and we'd seen the work he'd done before, plus the fact, there's no secret to the fact that Jonah and I love the UK, and it's a place we love coming, and Jonah gets huge support, as his website will tell you and his family will tell you. So it's the obvious place for us to launch the Jonah video. We thank you for coming. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. We look forward to some questions from the floor. We'll now just hand you over to a 2-minute
I put it down to the want and the drive to be an All Black again, wanting to be a rugby player again. It was that was my ultimate goal, playing for the All Blacks. Took a lot of hard work, a lot of pain and suffering and so forth. I think to give you an insight to it is being with my trainer. I had 8 weeks to drop from 152 kgs down to a reasonable playing weight to be able to make the end of year tour. To tour here in 1997, and I had 2 stops it took me, and and by the end of 6 weeks, I did it in something like 18.5 minutes and so forth.
He never likes running in training though.
Yeah.
If he gets a newspaper from the letterbox.
Terminally ill, and then I looked at them, and when you see kids who are terminally ill and running around and having a lot of fun and enjoying day by day, enjoying life, so I sort of took their attitude towards life itself. Enjoy it while you got it. It didn't matter what sort of illness they had. Drive to a goal, and my goal was to be an All Black again.
Now all the latest evidence is in after the Autumn International.
We wanted to win 5 games from 5, and we achieved that. And the coaches wanted to see the talent that is out there in New Zealand, and we brought a very inexperienced side over, blended in with a few experience. In rankings, to me, there's only one way of ranking it. If you have the World Cup, you're the world champions, and no team has that. They've decided to come across to rugby. It wasn't that long ago, a lot of rugby players were flooding into rugby league. I think it's just reversing, and I hope they go well and so forth. And for me, I've just got to play against them, and just make sure that I do my best and they do their best, and hopefully it's a good game.
Did you see much of Jason Robinson at all on tape this year or passing?
Yeah, I have watched him. A brilliant footballer. He's don't give him too much room, even though he doesn't need it. He steps off both feet very, very good. He's one of those players you can't really stand still. Give him too many options and you're right. You look at the experience of the side and the team itself, of the team that's toured over here. It's quite a young side, but we've had a great opportunity to stay our claim towards 2002, and I think it's in good stead. For a young side like that, to tour over here and get the results that we have, and especially when you look at has had. They've beaten England, Scotland, everybody at home on that field. But there's only one team that they haven't beaten, and that was us. And that was a film. That's a record that we wanted to keep intact, and we kept it intact.
This video you got out.
Becoming an All Black in 2002. That's my short-term goal, and hopefully being selected for the New Zealand Sevens to tour with and play at the.
Thank you.